We're rolling. Cool. Jai Gurudev, brother.
Jai Gurudev.
Nice having you. I'm super excited because basically this is going to be our first conversation ever. We exchanged hello, just 5 minutes on the hallway, but we never talked like a proper conversation. So I'm super curious in your case because you're the silent type.
I'm the silent type.
Yeah, you're the silent type, the mysterious guy who doesn't talk too much.
A lot of secrets.
Yeah, who knows what's there? So I'm super curious to find out how you started the spiritual path, what brought you to follow Guruji, and how you ended up being a monk and living in in an ashram in the middle of this beautiful nature.
Yeah, actually I'm asking myself the same, how I end up here. I have some months back I was standing on the altar and I was doing arati, and there was like a part of me was saying like, wow, this is so strange, like what I'm doing. but not like I don't like it, it's just so different than how I was living before. Well, if I can say from begin, so my parents, they always been spiritual, more likely on the Buddhist path.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for many years they had also kind of a teacher, so they visited him many times.
They practiced here. You're from Germany, no?
Originally Slovakia.
Originally, but you speak so good German. I always thought that you're from Germany, bro.
Yeah, my parents, they migrated when I was 2 years old to Austria.
Ah, okay, so that's where.
Yeah. So this was 1 year before the Iron Curtain fell. And yeah, then everything changed. We lived.
So basically you were raised in Austria?
In Austria, yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It was kind of difficult for my parents. So we lived in a small flat. There was a lot of crime in that neighborhood. So my father tried to get a job. And then actually quite quickly we ended up in living quite a nice neighborhood. One of the best neighborhoods in Vienna. So I was surrounded with very materialistic people, I would say. Not really interested in God. And especially the region Vienna is, I would say, people are not really interested in God. So even when I was inviting Guruji, I think like 3 or 4 times I was asking him, you should come to Vienna, you should come to Vienna. And after the 3rd time he was so annoyed, like, no, the people are not interested, I will not go there. And which is true, he was there in Vienna many years back. And it was like almost nobody from Vienna was there. Just the neighboring countries, Slovakia, Hungary, Czech and so on.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it's interesting, you grew up in an environment that was lacking a true connection with God. I mean, there was no examples around of what spirituality is, probably, no? Except your parents.
Yeah, I mean, Buddhist path, I realized only quite late that there is no concept of God.
Yeah.
So you have consciousness, and actually your being is built up from many different parts, like karma and so on. But it's very, how to say, in Western Europe, it's very common practice. People like it. Yeah. And kind of the concept of the Christian God in Austria, the younger generation, they're not really interested. And also for me, I don't know, I was just like a parrot saying the same of people, like, yeah, this Christian God, it's not for me.
It's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. There was some, I was believing like there is something, like a higher being, consciousness, how you want to call it, but not really this concept.
Of a personal God.
Yeah.
A person, basically.
Yeah.
It didn't have a form. It's more of a concept than, no?
I don't even know if I had any concept. It was just like a mishmash of, also like more against my parents, not really. They did their strange rituals. Sometimes I did like a party at home And my mother, she came with this Buddhist bell. She was chanting some mantras. My flat was still smelling after alcohol and cigarettes. And for me, okay, she likes it, let's do it. And
Instead, she was combining your incense with the actual incense of the cigarettes.
yeah. So that's, I would say,
The
also
environment.
the environment. Also, people not really talking about God. I remember when I smoked marijuana, like many people are doing in Austria, and I was talking about different philosophical things when I was
Yeah,
not.
you become really
Yeah.
smart when you're high, bro. I know. I was super smart.
Yeah. And I wrote even things down like, oh my God, this is like revelation. And next day I looked at the letter like, what's this nonsense? But in that moment it looked very poetic and
Yeah.
And why I'm saying this, because when I came to the path and I met one of my friends, so I was telling him about Guruji, I was telling him about what I'm doing now, and then he looked at me and he said, yeah, but you've been always like this. And I was like, what? Really? I
We were
said, yeah.
smoking together and we were talking about all these super good things.
Yeah. Because it's funny, like everybody was just sitting around, stoned and so on. And I was just talking and I wanted to express something inside of me, but there was nobody which I could really talk about this. They just always said like, yeah, you're nonsense, you're stoned and so on. But there was always some part of me which was not satisfied with this mature lifestyle. It was just like numbing down, a kind of search. Also Guruji, he told me later when I told him about, I was smoking and drinking and so on. And he said, yes, it was a search. Because you don't find what is touching your inner core. So you're trying to find it in society. And when you have friends not interested in God, so what you gonna do? And you want to feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also an exploration, basically, because when you use those substances, somehow you expand a little bit the horizon. You go beyond what the ordinary, because something like this happens with all teenagers. They want to search, and they end up on this path using drugs. Depending on what you use, sometimes they have like also psychedelic experiences, and they follow that their whole life. Some of them, they would never give it up. And so how it happened for you?
I mean, that people are taking substances, I think it's just growing. It's not becoming less. Because we are spiritual beings, and society doesn't reflect our inner core. They just reflect our desires, what reminds you that you are the ego, the ahamkar, the body. But you see spirituality is declining. You don't see it in the movies, you don't hear it in the music anymore. People are not talking about God, spirituality. So people are taking, especially the young generation, they're taking these substances. They make some experiences, and because it's very easy to go in a certain state, they continue, but it has always the side effect that it's just like it's another illusion in the illusion. But if you're brave enough, then you ask yourself these questions. And then, like in my case, it was, okay, at some point you hit a wall, and then you're like forced to ask yourself, okay, is there more in life? And then like everything opens up. It was like, like a new page was turning in my life. Yeah.
And when did that happen?
Well, I'm a person of extremes.
You wouldn't say, looking at you.
There is a saying, when somebody is born with, you don't are born in a natural way, but because the stomach has been, what to call it in English, cut of my mother. So when you're born and you're not pressed you don't know your borders. I don't know if you say it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's C-section in English. It's called C-section.
C-section. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were born without through C-section, so you have no limits, huh?
I don't know. There was a part of me wants to put myself in, not in trouble, I would say, but I know there is a grace, there is a beauty when you really go through challenges and when there is a strong experience which makes a change. Yeah. And somehow I was just going deeper into the rabbit hole of materialism, of just going to parties and being with the wrong friends. And there was one night, it was basically my last night when I was playing as a techno DJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
It was not my main job, but I spent a lot of time in this.
About this, bro.
Yeah.
So you were in the you were in that zone, bro. I mean, parties. And now it's a bigger picture. So it was a crazy party.
Yeah. So I was playing in a club with friends of me, and then I end up a house party, and this went on till the 2nd January. This was after New Year's Eve, and I was so devastated. And I met my mother on I'm not sure if it was on the 2nd or 3rd, and I met my mother, and we had a very deep conversation. And she looked at me, and she said, "You really need to change." And I knew that there was, like, as I said, this brick wall where somehow I even wanted myself to put so deep to feel this emptiness that something new can awaken. Yeah. And I said, yeah. So, and then I started, I sold everything. I was living in a very nice neighborhood with 2 gardens, had a good job.
Oh, so materially you were good.
Yeah, but lived a very wild lifestyle. So I'm not a person who really puts a lot of money on the bank account. I like to spend it.
Yeah, okay.
And then I sold everything. I was looking where can I go. And because my parents, they practice Buddhism, we said, okay, maybe you can go to North India. And so I went, and it's funny, like the moment when I made the decision, like I was walking up a hill and I realized, wow, this is a new chapter of my life and I will travel. And I was just crying for 10 minutes and I really felt this was like a new begin.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I packed everything, I sold everything, and I went to the airport. And the moment I went out of the plane and my foot went on Indian ground, there was this, I don't know, just like a feeling, I know this. Like for the first time, I really felt I'm at home.
It activated.
Yeah.
Basically, it activated in your whole body. So nice.
Yeah, this was a culture shock also a bit.
How old were you?
This was 2014.
2014.
I'm 37 now.
Wow. So you spent there, how much time did you stay in India?
I was there for 6 months.
Oh.
No, not in India. It was
Nepal,
actually
probably, huh?
different countries. But first in India, I went to North India. I had very deep spiritual experiences there.
Can you share like what happened? You met people or you went to holy places? What was the journey basically? What did you want to do? You wanted to travel and experience, or you had the ashram you wanted to go? Or
my main aim was just to find purpose in life, find who am I. And I was reading books And when I arrived there, and to see this simplicity, going into a store with just, I don't know, especially in North India, in Ladakh, go sometimes in a store, they have 20, 30 items, and it gives you a piece. Just because it's your mind doesn't have anything which it's desiring, you know. So
Only what you need, not what you want.
yeah.
Very good point.
And so I came there, everything is made of stones, and I was living in a small hut. It was super cold. You have a huge, how to call it, blanket, cold shower, and there was no internet, no phone. My book, a small torch, and in the night, I was just reading the books, and I was just like so hungry for that knowledge. And I remember till today, I was reading a book of Buddha, and I remember like I was sitting here in this cold room, and there was the story like how the disciples came to Buddha and this sitting around him. And I was this deep desire, wow, I want to meet such a pure soul like him. And I would do anything to do that. Even travel around the world just to meet this perfect soul. And this was like the deep desire, because I was so fed up of these agendas which my friends had. I was fed up from so many, like when you wake up, you see all this negativity in the world. Because I was working also a lot with different famous celebrities, politicians, and they didn't display so many nice qualities.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, and I was thinking, okay, there has to be some love, some compassion, something in this world of somebody, and please, I want to be guided to that person. So
best prayer, bro.
yeah,
Best prayer ever.
probably that prayer brought me here, I guess.
For sure, it planted the seed, man. It's like throwing the message. I'm ready. I'm ready. And how it went from there on? So you're still in India, traveling around, huh?
Yeah, I had very deep experiences there. Like I almost died. Yeah, not just one time. Not just one time.
How, bro?
I don't know. It was just like this new me started to awaken, which I was not aware this exists. I just wanted to be outside, don't meet anybody. First, I was teaching English for some kids in different villages, but then I just went by myself in the Himalayas. And I was traveling, and I went to certain villages, and they looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" Like, the season for hiking is not even opened. It's too icy. It's too much snow. It's too dangerous, and I didn't care. Really, I just went, and I just like, no, I need to reach this mountain. I need to reach this mountain. I went out of food. Really, I was in regions, so there was like minus 28 degrees.
You had proper equipment, or
No,
you were like the European tourist who wants to experience the Himalayas?
Like, yeah, very blinded.
Yeah.
Not very
Of course.
prepared.
So you had the grace to live,
Yeah.
basically. That's super dangerous, bro. There's not. Oh, cool.
Well, actually, something happened. This was the last night when I reached a mountain, and it was like freezing. I'm not joking. I'm really not exaggerating. There was like a path, like here, and you have a wall, and it's like ice walls going.
yeah.
I don't know how long. It was just dark, small torch. It was snowing, and I was looking at it. It's like, this is so unreal. Like, and I could not. There was no place to build my camp. Yeah.
You had the tent.
Yeah, I had a tent. I had like a small map. Like, there is maybe somewhere the base camp. I was like lost. Like, where can I build this tent? And then I'm seeing from a distance, I'm seeing like a light, like a white light appearing. I was looking like, what is this? There must be a village or something in the distance. But I'm looking, there is no village written on the map. And suddenly the light starts to give like signals, like, okay, there was maybe SOS. What's this? So I coming closer, and the light was like 50 meters hovering above the ground. Yeah? And I look in this part of me was scared because what is this? Maybe aliens or what? I don't know. and I look in this light and it's just giving signals like come closer. And suddenly I come closer, and there is no village, no streets, nothing around. And suddenly like a light came down from this hovering light down, and it pointed to a specific point. Yeah. And when I came closer, then it disappeared, and it was exactly the point where
You could build your
I built the base camp then.
bro.
And it is said, like in this region, in the Himalayas, they're like saints, sages who are
Yes.
helping people to when
The
they're in
true
need.
seekers, if you're a true seeker, you get the help. Wow, this is a crazy, beautiful experience. Wow.
Yeah.
So now I understand more clearly. So a lot of things happened in such a short time. You spent a lot of time on the mountain there.
Oh yeah. I mean, even in this night, this was the coldest night ever. It was funny. Like I needed to stay awake. Yeah. Otherwise,
If you sleep, you don't wake up.
and it's funny. Like I closed my eyes, and there was like a presence there. And it was 1 week before I saw the first video of Guruji. Because my mother, she sent me a video. I found a guru, you should meet him, and so on. I was not really impressed, but and so and I closed my eyes, and suddenly I saw like a movie in front of me, all the beautiful things which happened in the previous weeks. Every handshake, every hug, every nice smile, every positivity which happened was like a movie, like and this kept me awake and gave me the feeling like, okay, you're not alone.
Safe. Yeah. Wow. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and then this was like the last days in India. Then my old self awakened, and I said, okay, let's go for a party to Thailand.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not? So,
I'm purified, I'm holy now. Let's go and
yeah.
nice. Thailand. Why not?
So I went to Thailand, South Thailand again. Went to these islands, and then I went to North Thailand to it was like a tree jungle project. So it was the greatest heat of my life. Like really, you go out after 1 minute, you're like completely in sweat. After 2 days, I can do this. I can do this.
Get dehydrated instantly, probably, no?
Yeah. Like a deep in the jungle it was. But funny, I met one guy with a mustache from America, and the moment I saw him, I said, "This is like, there was the best friendship ever." I know we're cracking jokes, we have so much fun, and then we split. I met a nice Mataji there. We traveled around together. And then we split again. She went to America, and then I was traveling in other countries and came finally to North Vietnam, in the capital, huge city.
Wow.
And I'm walking on a normal pedestrian walk, not tourist area, nothing. And who comes in front of me? This guy with the mustache. And now he's brahmachari in the Paranitya Narasimha temple.
Who is it?
Nishkaladas.
No way, bro. I went to Elmira. No way. I went to Elmira, and the first person that I got connected, I know you. I know you from another life, and we keep in touch now because he's such a sweet person.
Yeah.
And you kept in touch. How come he found out about Guruji?
Well, then years passed, and we always chatted with each another. And then he said one day, he just 1 week before, he wrote me, "Hey bro, I'm coming to Vienna, I will visit you." But I said, "Sorry, I'm not in Vienna. I'm in a ashram in Germany, when you can visit me. And so he came there. He was picked up by a friend of me. But she was telling all the Hindu stories, like all the Hindu gods and so on, in the car ride. So, so he went out of the car and he said, "Oh my God, that's too much already for me." And then we saw each other in the ashram. And the first thing which I did, I made a joke about my appearance. And he said, this saved everything, the joke. Because he realized that we are not so, let's call brainwashed, so we take ourselves so much serious. But we know
fanatics,
that our appearance is, of course, very different. Yeah. And then things start to happen.
Nishkal, bro, we love you.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know. We're gonna send him the link. You're loved. You're being a topic now. Amazing. Next time when I go to the States, we should have a walk talk with Nishkal. You're on the list, bro.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. How things connect. This is super beautiful. So you did all this trip. You ended up in, where are we now on the map, on the globe?
Yeah, then I came back. I went to a darshan. And my mother, she was already...
She started coming.
Yes, she started coming, and I saw her with a tilak and in sari.
Oh, she became a devotee?
I'm not sure if she was devotee at that time, but she was like half year already with Guruji. In the meantime, when I was
you were traveling the world, and she was strengthening the relationship.
And I came there with my father, and for me it was like a small shock. I thought she's in a sect, and
they got her.
Yeah.
We have to take her out, save her.
And I didn't know anything about Guruji, just the experience what my mother told me. And she had a very deep experience of Guruji, because she was looking for a guru for many years. And then when she asked him, okay, who is my guru? He just smiled and said, "You will know soon." And then she just went down to Om chanting. And when she did the Om chanting, and my mother, she's quite grounded person, yeah. And the moment that they started to chant Om, she left her body. She was not present in her body, and she could hear Guruji's voice saying in Slovak language, "I am in everything. Everything is inside of me. I am Vishnu. I am Krishna." And she was hearing this in Slovak language clearly. And then she came back in her body and she was just crying, and this was like the sign, the confirmation that he is her guru.
Wow.
And so I came back from the trip and had a beautiful darshan.
That's when you met first time. You met
first
Guruji.
time, yeah.
How was the meeting? Meeting first
Crazy.
time Guruji.
Crazy.
Why?
because somebody just told me before, by the way, he is an enlightened master. And for me at that time, only Buddha was enlightened. I had no other knowledge about other saints and so on. And so when he came, I wanted to test him.
Because why not?
Because somebody told me, you can ask him internally also a question. And so he came and he gave darshan on the third eye at that time.
Yeah, before coronavirus, this was that beautiful way of giving darshan.
And so I asked him, who am I? And the moment his thumb touched my forehead, there was an explosion in my heart, like all the love which I felt in my whole life multiplied x 10, I don't know, or more. And it was for me such a shocking experience, like in a positive way, that I almost forgot to breathe. Like really, it was just like so much. Like I never felt so much love in my chest. Like I was just laughing for two hours straight. And of course, I mean, when you have this kind of experience, then it makes you curious.
Yeah. Wow.
That he is not such a normal person.
But it's nice because not everybody has this experience first time meeting Guruji. So It's quite a grace that you tested him and he answered somehow.
I think I needed it because I'm a very skeptical person, especially, as I said, like religion, any religion institution, or I'm very, I was always a bit, how to call it, I wanted to be always like a freedom, just by myself, not engaging in any, like being part of something.
Yes.
Because I was always very, I'm still skeptical.
Yeah.
But he just needed to give me an experience to, so I go
Beyond the mind a little
beyond the
bit, so
mind,
you
yeah.
can go into the heart and
Yeah.
really go with the flow. It's actually on the spiritual path, skepticism, it's healthy if it is used as a tool for discernment. Because if you have experiences like the one you described, you can fly around and you can also imagine a lot of things. So this skepticism can help you ground your experiences in something that is real, and you don't because nowadays the market for spirituality is so diverse. Aliens, crystals, chakras, kundalinis, whatsoever, and sometimes this creates also confusion in the people who actually search for something authentic. Very nice.
I think it's also, because now when I look back, because I was asking Guruji why did it took so long.
Yeah.
And then he said there was always a time when the change happens, which means even the time before, without him, without spirituality, helps to understand yourself better, understand people better. Because now when I speak with people, I understand them. I understand when they're
You
going
had the
through
experiences.
Yeah. And especially like I understand the Austrian minds. I understand, even was also in Slovakia a lot. I understand how they think. And even the skepticism, when they approach, they come to Guruji and this guru topic comes up, I understand their concerns because I was also thinking like this. And if I would live only in the ashram my whole life, they would look at me like, yeah, but
Yeah, you have no experience in the outside world. Who are you to talk?
Yeah,
You don't know the troubles that we have. Very good point. So that was the first meeting with Guruji. He gave you the experience of love beyond what you felt before. What happens from there?
I was in a relationship then with a girlfriend which I knew already many years back. We tried again, and we traveled in India together. But I was always, how to call it, I was so fully into the path already that I would say like not neglected her, but she always complained, you're always meditating, you're always reading these Just Love books. And
you started practicing also Kriya, and you took everything, no?
Yeah.
All the... Ah, nice.
we made together basically another journey together. Then at the end, we split,
Parted ways.
parted ways, and become brahmachari. Came to the ashram. Guruji invited me to live in the ashram, which was also perfect timing. Which is like more and more things breaking down in my life. I was not satisfied by any job, by my friends. You know, I felt like an alien in the city, and I was like looking, is there any job which really can satisfy me? I could not find. Like really, it's just, and I was so fed up in the jobs which I was doing, still surrounded by this kind of type of people. And and when I came to the ashram, this was what I always wanted. Yeah.
You felt like you fit. This is the way.
Yeah.
And what type of activities were you doing here? What was your seva here?
First seva I was in sadhana department, yoga meditation at that time. Then went through different departments. Then I was in housekeeping. I was in garden shortly. I was in construction. I was in human resources.
Wow.
Human resources I really didn't like. This is kind of job. I was even in the bank for 3 years. I hated it, really. I don't even know why I was there. And everything, with Excel files and all this stuff.
It requires a different type of personality to be so specific, and I know you have a beautiful experience that you shared in the satsang, and maybe you can tell us more about the time when you were away from the ashram and you were working in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has a really beautiful and valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit about that?
So I was in the ashram for 1 year, but I had still, as I said, my lifestyle was. So I had a debt which I needed to pay back. And Guruji said,
traveling all over the world, of course you have debts, bro. So nice. And Guruji sent you?
Yeah, he said you need to go out. Because anyway, I was just like looking at my account, it was just like less and less and less and less. Oh my God. I said, okay, anyway, I was just like neglecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow miraculously God will pay my debt. But then, of course, you need to take responsibility.
Mm.
But I was already a brahmachari, and so when you go out, you have less
contact with the
people,
the ashram, and the sangha.
But I was determined. I go out, and I went first to my parents' house. I was thinking I will spend as least money as possible. So the easiest is to go to your mom's house.
Her parents. She's gonna cook. She's gonna pay for everything.
And yes, so I came there, and we had a huge fight, my mother and me. And I was at that time BMCC for Austria, so I was a lot on the computer, writing emails and all this stuff. And there was still like the relationship with my mother was still very much son and mama.
Yeah.
So
what to do?
And I was just so annoyed by that. And then there came a moment we fighted because of a tulsi plant. Yeah.
Of all the plants.
And there came a moment she was washing her dishes, and I came without any upper garment. I just had the Brahmin string, and I was just like looking at her, and suddenly, like, I don't know, it was like, these key moments of your life.
Yeah.
I was just holding the Brahmin string in my hand, and I was saying, "Do you see this? Do you see this?" He said, "Yes, yes. What does it mean?" And she says, "That you don't belong to me anymore."
Oh man.
And we looked at each other, and I said many things which I always held in myself, like it just needed to flood.
Yeah.
Like this hypocrisy sometimes we have in the families, you just don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to offend people, you don't want to touch certain subjects,
And
you let it all out.
I let it all out. But it was a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It was not like this grudge feeling, like, you have a fight and then you go, "Oh, I should not have said this." No, it's total opposite. Like I went in my room and I felt such a peace inside of me. And I closed my eyes. I was just seeing Lakshmi I just closed and I was just praying to Lakshmi. Like okay, my mother hears this now, but it's like, you are my mother, you are my cosmic mother, you have always been my cosmic mother. Yeah. And then my mother said, "Okay, it's better you move out." And I tell you, everything was smoothly. Everything was smoothly. I called somebody, had a flat, moved there and started to live. It was like a temple where I was living, just an altar and a bed, that's it, in the room, And so I had a job, started to work in a restaurant. It was super negative environment. I came there was like a older couple, and they always fighted with each other. Even when I applied to the job, they always discussed in front of me. It was like, oh my God, I need to. But they said, okay, the payment will be very good. which was true. And I was thinking, okay, but they're selling meat also in this work. And started to work there. There have been some cooks from Slovakia in this kitchen, but also a chef cook which was super aggressive. And at the beginning, you know, when you start to be in this environment, you just check out what is your hobbies, what I'm doing. And I was not very open about my path. I just wanted to earn money and leave this place. So at the moment when I first shared I'm a vegetarian, this was when everything went downhill. This reminds me a bit of like when my family realized I'm on spiritual path. Also,
I'm a monk. Oh my God.
we love you till you become a monk. Yes.
And then, yeah, very good point.
And
In a
so-
restaurant, to be a vegetarian, especially for chefs who probably love cooking meat, it's a sacrilege. You're a traitor.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, then start things,
Conflicts.
more and more conflicts. And then I was talking to Guruji about it. And then every time when I tell him something, things start to be even more intense. It's like people told me here, whatever you tell him directly has cosmic consequences.
Yes.
But why? I mean, it's actually a grace, because he just wants to that the things are opening up more, that you see everything clearly, not just auto robot and so on. So after this conversation, I went to the work and I had the most crazy fight in the world. It was just like the restaurant was full of people, stress, only two workers, and we were just absolutely, it was not possible to cope with this
Amount of people at the
amount of people.
orders.
Yeah. And this aggressive cook came out, just standing in the restaurant, just screaming around. She was screaming at me, and I was just like standing there, like this is not real. So the next day when I came to the work, everybody was against me. Really, like even the kind of nice guy at behind the counter who was doing cocktails, even him, he was making comments. He stopped doing my drinks. When I ordered something, he stopped doing the drinks. I was just
Doing it yourself. You
Yeah.
have to do it yourself.
I went into the kitchen. They put like posters there of saints, and they wrote their like satanic signs, 666. And I came there, and both looked at me. One with a huge knife in his hands, looked at me and said, "Are you scared? Are you scared?" And I was standing there like, okay. And I started to feel this fear inside of me, you know. So I went home, and I was just like, absolutely, I cannot go back into this work. Like, because I was so, you feel this weakness because you perceive all this fear. And I was thinking, why I'm doing japa? Why I'm doing all this sadhana when in these big conflicts, I lose my temper, you know? And even there, I realized why I'm trying to please these people. They have no interest in my life. They have no focus in life, nothing. So, and then I remembered, first I was watching different kind of self-improvement videos.
Yeah.
Yes,
You need
you
a
know?
little bit of help.
Yeah. And then I went to the work, nothing happened, nothing helped. So I then remembered what Guruji told me, that you need to be fully focused and not move. You always have the image of God in your mind. So I was doing the next day, I was just thinking of God, thinking of God, thinking of Guruji, just chanting. And I said, whatever happens now, I will not, this image in my third eye will not disappear. Yeah. Absolutely laser focus. Yeah. I was just thinking, chanting. Whatever happened, I really did my absolute best to
Keep the focus.
keep the focus. But it was exhausting also,
Yeah.
you know. And at some point, I go out with food out of the kitchen, and then I go and go and go, and suddenly this deep, deep thought emerged from deep within, which said, "But I cannot do it by myself." And the moment this appeared, like I stood still in the middle of the restaurant, and I just felt, my heart was just like rotating. I felt like an energy, like my heart is like, I don't know, expanding. It's so huge. I just felt so much love. I was just standing, but at the same moment, everything changed in that second. Like really, like in a movie, like in Matrix, you're just watching and everything is absolutely peaceful. Like you see people chatting, drinking, eating, but I was just standing and just looking, like, wow, everything is just connected. It's very difficult to describe, but I'm trying with words.
Yes.
Just standing there, but at the same time, I realize I have zero thoughts, absolute still mind. And I was standing there, and somebody calls me like to take orders, and I just stand there, just looking at the guest, and I have zero thoughts, like absolute peace. Like there was no, be it in a cave or in the forest or in this restaurant, there was no difference. Like Guruji was saying, like if your mind is still, you can be on the Times Square, makes no difference.
Yeah.
And so I came home, but even walking home, I saw with my eyes how everything is pervaded with like energy, like strongly. I saw like vibrations everywhere, the trees, the houses. I felt it even how everything is connected to each another. Like I was walking and I wanted to do arati to the trees, to the house. Like, and I went into the subway.
Such a beautiful experience. And
Yeah.
and
I went into the subway, just looking around, everything peaceful. I went home, I was sitting in front of the altar, just crying. And I didn't understand what is happening. And then the next day when I wake up, I just open my eyes and I look at my hands. I was like, wow, these are my hands, really. Like there was zero connection to my body. Like somebody high, I don't know. I was just walking around in the room and everything was crystal clear and fresh and new. Like, like absolute in the present moment, And I went into the restaurant. I'm not joking. Like all these conflicts with my colleagues disappeared. Because there was no fear emanating from me. There was no...
You were not reacting to everything, anything that was coming towards you.
And then I realized like what we are saying is just 5%, but actually it's our body language. It's what we are emanating and giving
energy
out.
That resonates outside.
And even these people who are maybe not so receptive, even they mirrored back my strength, my fearlessness and everything. Like everything disappeared. And I remember there was one moment I was just walking around super joyful in the work, and I just saw something on the floor, like a paper, and I bowed down and I wanted to pick it up, the paper, and again similar thought like before, which said, I'm back, It's like finally I feel, I don't know what I could not describe it, if it's like more my true self than what I'm perceiving now. And then also Swami Neruda came for satsang. He was in Vienna, and I didn't tell it to anybody because I had the feeling like if I start to speak about it, it will disappear.
It will fade away.
And the only person which I said this experience was Swami Neruda. So he was in my room, and I was just telling this story just with tears in my eyes. And I said, I don't know what's happening. And he just looked at me. Also, he had these wet eyes. And he looked at me and said, and that's just a drop of the ocean what is waiting for us. Yeah.
Wow, this wind feels so good now with this story. The whole nature around us feels so good while you shared this. Wow, I'm so happy you shared this now, because it's different when you hear it in the temple in the satsang. But now being close to you is like my skin is reacting, my body is reacting. We can go the long parikrama. Yeah, I felt a feeling of what you were telling. It's amazing experience, bro. And how that's an experience that will be with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that when you tell it, it reactivates in other people. At least I had the feeling of what you felt.
You know, Guruji said in Narada Bhakti Sutras, he was saying, God gives us experiences, they are not even for us. They're actually to help other people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to share.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything. There are some stories which
Are for you.
For you.
Yeah. It's like
So
your secret with God.
Yeah. But stories which you felt, which it's just important for others to, because he gives it to not even motivate, just to show, yeah, God is alive. It's not just an idea in the book. Yeah.
This is what I love about your channel also, and it served as an inspiration for what we're doing now, because you are sharing this. So the churning rod is the YouTube channel. We're gonna put a link in the description, and you can check it out. More stories like the ones that were shared here from devotees in the ashram, from residents. So yeah, I truly believe this also, that sometimes things happen, and sometimes I pick up people from the airport, and while we're driving, I'm sharing the experience, how we got here, how we met Guruji. And the first 2-3 times when I shared the story, I was surprised by the emotional response of people. And I was like, man, this is not such a amazing story, not like the one you had. Like, I felt my heart expanding, and with the reality changing. But still, you never know what your experience will trigger into someone else's consciousness, and why you have to tell it then, and why we have to learn somehow to be as open as possible with be ourselves, and be as open as possible with the experiences we share, because that experience you share might change the decision someone will make in the future. So, wow, I knew there was a treasure here, bro. I was so excited about this conversation today. And it also, you guard your look, the fox, bro. You guard your stories so well with your presence and with your silence, that it also becomes intriguing and you want to find out. So it's a nice combination. And I would have never thought that you are the extreme experimenting type of guy. And how did your life change? Like, if you go and look at your life now, what do you think happened? How was your life impacted by meeting Guruji? You're a rishi now. This is a big change. You're not only a monk, you're a rishi, which comes with different responsibilities. But what can you share about this?
Well, that your complete lifestyle changes. A part of that is, I would say, there is purpose in life. You have a purpose in life, and it's funny. Like once I had a conversation with Guruji, and he asked me, "Why do you trust me?" and I said, "It's my soul which is trusting you." And it's funny. Like there's this very deep core trust to Guruji, you know. Even when life, there was a lot of challenges. I would say in my life now is even more challenges than before. But the inside you see, it makes so much sense to go through it. Because before, I was doing a lot of workout, I was doing crazy sport and so on. But there was a moment where I was sitting in front of the TV, you count your calories, you need to eat so much protein all the time. After 1 week of not training, you see already the muscles are going back.
And you have to train again.
Yeah, you have to train again. And there is always this constant, this so much effort you need to uphold this identity, which is just becoming older, you're becoming more weak. Everything is just changing. And there's this feeling of like, why I'm doing so much effort, you know, like I want to have something which is eternal. There was this longing for eternity. And it's like this with Guruji, this investment, what we are doing is, you see there is, this satisfaction is coming. And even a part of the, beside of the challenges, you see how I'm changing, how this relationship is growing. And like, for example, my Ishadev Lakshmi Narayana. And even before Guruji, when I was in India, I was looking only for Lakshmi Narayana deities. Like, I was
like
not.
It was like you knew it without knowing it.
Yeah. I was not interested in Krishna, not in Shiva, not in Ganesha, nothing. And the moment when he told me, yeah, your Ishtadev is Lakshmi Narayana, yeah, it made sense. And I see that when I do what he's saying, that this relationship is growing, it's working. And that's the beauty of Sonat Dharma, that it's experiential. It's not just, yeah, when I believe in this idea, I will attain some heaven at one day. No, it's like happening right now in this moment. And I see, like, especially the last months, the relationship, especially to Lakshmi, is so expanding, growing, that sometimes I have like, I'm standing around and I just want that she comes like really in her real form, in her beautiful sari, in her crown, and just talks to me. Like it's not like I'm so like, why are you not coming? You're like, you know, I'm the deity itself is not satisfying me anymore. You know, I just want to have a darshan of you. I just want to speak to you. Just come in my dreams. Just, you know, it's. As I'm sitting on the altar, it's like, it's really time that you visit me now. You know, like, but the tears are flowing, and then you just long for your Ishtadev. You know, and there I see how he's changing our lives. My soul is eternal. And the soul is interested only to connect with somebody who is also eternal. And it's only God. So that's the satisfaction he is giving to us, you know. And then people can criticize me, people can think I'm crazy, but I see how the life is changing. And behind this robe, behind this tilak and everything, it's, and I tell this often to people, why you don't ask what he is giving us, what he is teaching us? It's only to become a better version of yourself. Forget these religious things. I see that I grow internally with these qualities. And then you can still judge, but because right now I think that's what the world is needed. No? Like he was saying, satsang yesterday, people project their negativity on others. They could just criticize, judge, and so on. But we should do our part. I should see the criticism inside of me. I should see the negativity inside of me, and then change. You know, because people, especially in the West, they just see us as very religious and so on.
A sect.
Yeah, as a sect.
That's the word.
Yeah. But actually, it's just people trying to become a better human being first. Yeah.
I always tell people, when they ask me about what's happening here, I said the easiest and the best way is to come and find out. Because it's hard to put into words experiences. I can share the experience, but the grace of following Guruji for me is the fact that he teaches us through experience, like you said. And then you go to the books and to the knowledge and you understand what happened to you. But his grace is that he teaches by giving you the experience. For me, it was the same. If I wouldn't have had that first experience during darshan, it would have been hard because my mind was so strong and stubborn, and I was also arrogant in my approach towards the master. So he had to break my mind. And after giving me the experience of unconditional love, then I had no more arguments. What could I say? I mean, I just felt it. I cannot ignore it. I cannot argue with it. I cannot find reasons why not to dive deeper. So, bro, this is such a beautiful conversation. I'm so grateful that we could share this walk, and especially because you guys are so busy, I find it even more precious that we can have this conversation.
It's really nice, this project itself. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
expanding, growing.
Yeah, I'm happy that Diggerdev, I'm happy that we could do this now, and I think also for other people in their own projects it's important to find the voice, to have trust that there's a voice. There's a voice that you can share with others, and you don't need to judge yourself. And like Guruji said, what people think of you is of no importance, like you said. Just trust. We have Sahadev. Tomorrow is the premiere of your episode. That's good. Tomorrow. And in the back we have Danta Das, who's eluding and who's trying to get away. Doesn't want, but we're gonna catch him. We're gonna catch him. He's gonna be on the podcast. I know one of maybe this would be a good closure. One of the things that you're touching upon in satsangs is also you're making reference to movies. You're still in contact with the outside world. You're still observing. You're still looking. You're not isolated, and this is something that it's also nice to tell people. These are not monks who live in a monastery and this is what they do. These are monks who travel the world, connected to the world, and we are in touch with the outside. What do you feel is the thing that is lacking most now, especially for young generations?
I think people have too many options.
Surprising answer, but
It's because there is, for example, when we use our mind daily, there is a specific limit of how many choices we can make. You need mental capacity for that. And nowadays, if you look, the mind changed tremendously.
yes.
So I was reading like studies which they did. First of all, the attention span is decreasing. Every around 3 seconds, every 5-6 years is decreasing. Yeah, so we are currently around 8 seconds, normal average attention span.
Oh, that's why TikTok is so popular, and that's why people are so addicted to it.
Yes.
And it's not helping.
It's a quick drug, you know, serotonin,
Dopamine hit.
Dopamine. I think there is even a function in TikTok where you don't even need to scroll, it's just scrolling for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a quick drug. We need pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Your mind is satisfied, and people don't really go in deepness.
Yep.
Because you have so many options, you have so many functions, new phones, new
Quicker,
programs, faster, everything. So everything just for to satisfy the mind. But the problem is we are always just on the surface level. Yeah, we're just going from one thing to the other. But spirituality is actually the opposite. You take one thing and you go to the source. You want to go into the deepness. Like Guruji says, there are even certain sadhus in India, they're just chanting, but it's just like they don't go really into the
it's
essence.
mechanic.
Yeah. But Guruji is more simple. Take one thing and go into the deepness and discover what is hidden. Like even the divine name, better quality than quantity. So I would say I like to look what is happening in the world, how society is changing, because then of course you know that there is a need. I see what we are doing is not just like some fancy stuff or that we're just doing some hobby. Maybe not now, but there will be a time, whatever we are doing, the world will crying for that. Because more and more people become mentally ill. Yeah, more and more people have depression. More and more people, all these factors.
Yeah.
We live in a very unhealthy society.
Yeah.
And there will be a time when people will, they will hit such a strong wall that whatever we do in spirituality, they will long for it. Because there will be a burnout, like a mass burnout of people.
You can consume everything at one point. We are reaching that wall on multiple levels: economical, psychological, and spirituality is not fashionable because it requires effort and dedication and discipline, things that are not quite popular these days. Did you handle well this discipline, having had that experience of crazy nightlives, clubbing and all that? Coming to an ashram, there's a lot of discipline involved here.
There is certain guidelines, rules, but I think most of it needs to come from our own effort. And that's also, recently I spoke with somebody about this. The ashram, if you want, you can do absolute minimum, You can do just your seva, stop at 5 o'clock, and then you just go on Netflix and just think of yourself the whole evening. Yeah. Or, what Guruji said, actually the essential thing is what happens after your seva. Because duty is nice, you do your duty, but what are you spending your time with after your seva? Are you you engage your mind with God, you're still wanting to grow, because everything is a language to God. Yeah. So that's the thing, like people think in an ashram you're just absolutely restricted and so on. But I tell you, like even here, when people are lazy, they're lazy. Nobody will come into the room and say like, clean your room, do this and this. Yeah. No, that's the beauty of Bhakti. Bhakti is the path of love. And love is never forced. Love is always needs to come from, that's why it's what God longs for. He can force anything, but he cannot force to love him. And that's why it's so precious for him that we come by
voluntarily.
Voluntarily. Yeah.
A really good point. Really good point. We're now we made a full circle, and we reached. We have all the mandirs here. We have also Hanumanji,
Our protector.
Yeah, our protector. He's greeting us, and he's an example of service and devotion. For us in Bhakti Marga, Seva is the way, basically, to reach God. Is a way of, like you said, the language. I think this is the way we can show show through action that we are in touch and we love God. What is your sadhana? What is your, how you say, your tool of choice? Because you, like you said, you have your sadhana, your Atma Kriya Yoga, you have your service in the temple, you have your own duty, you have the seva. What is the easiest way for you to get into this state of service?
I
You
would
have
say,
your japa.
yeah, I would say if, it's very much how this experience happened to me. You know, it's I really try to my best to always have the image of God in my mind. It's I don't know. Everything turns around this always about this very strong focus. Also, I'm a very sensitive person, so I feel all the time, and when I'm not focused, I easily get distracted. You know, like by feeling, and feel like a mishmash in my mind. And but also at the same time, I think it's not just mine. I think the whole world needs strong focus on one point, which is eternal. Because, as I said before, our mind now is scattered everywhere. You know, that's why there is no unity in society. That's why most of the people think of themselves. Yeah, we can, and you see, like there's the one you can say is selflessness and love. You can make songs about it, but to really practice it, it needs so much discipline, so much time. And then maybe you have a little glimpses of selflessness, you know. But that's why it's so beautiful to discover this new parts inside of you. You know, it's because spirituality is eternal. You know, what you discover inside of you is just so much more than whatever you can find outside. And that's why
it has nothing to do with the clothes you wear, with the paint you put on your forehead. It has to do with the inner journey.
Inner journey. Yeah.
It doesn't matter also what image of God you focus on at the end of the day, as long as you have this longing for the eternal. Because for you it might be Lakshmi, for another person it might be Jesus, for another person it might be Hanuman, you know. So I think you are making a really good point, and I'm also reflecting on this a lot. For me, at one point, I was so obsessed with seva. I was obsessed. I have to serve. But sometimes it's a fine line, and the ego kicks in, and the ego wants to serve. But if you put the image of God, like you said now, then you cannot fool yourself. Because the aim is clear. It's about Him. It's not about you serving. It's about letting Him serve through you somehow. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things and speciality of Guruji is that he shows you all your agendas. And they're so hidden sometimes that, for example, he told me something years back, and only 2 years later, 3 years later, at a specific moment, suddenly I understand what he said.
Wow. Yeah.
And because there's always, like before I said, there's always a time when you're ready to that. We have a specific range of how much we can handle. Yeah. If he would show you everything what you have in your mind in Sosa,
You wouldn't take it. You wouldn't be able to handle it. Yeah. It's a very good point. I'm taking away a lot of beautiful thoughts that I can come back to, and one of these points is the patience to wait for the right moment for that to happen. Sometimes we force it, and we're missing what's in front of us because I want to be there. Take your time. and
Yeah.
keep your focus.
He said it in a tweet, like we become actually hypocrite when we always think about the ideal self, you know, because we are not embracing who we are now with all the flaws and so on. We are just thinking and have this agitated mind of, okay, why I'm still not this person which I want to be. But then you have to think of yourself, okay, who wants to be like this and why you want to be like this? Maybe you desire to be that version of yourself because then you are more admired by other people.
Yes.
Because then you are more, spiritual, whatever.
Yes.
But actually,
You're building a reputation in your head,
Yeah.
basically. A spiritual reputation.
yeah.
That's really dangerous. Bro, in this note, I'm super happy to have this conversation. I hope people go and visit the Churning Rod, the YouTube channel,
It's a bit dry currently. I didn't upload so many things.
because you have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
But still, the content there, it's worth watching, and you can reflect on the content that's already there. Amazing meeting you somehow. I feel like it's like the first conversation that's full of substance, and it's given me a lot of value. So I thank you for this, brother.
Thank you for the platform. It's really nice what you do.
Yeah, it's Guruji's grace that we can have these conversations, and that we have the experiences to share. And we have the somehow our wisdom, our small wisdom, to observe the changes in our life. So it's all part of the bigger plan. And let's churn the ocean so we can so we can see and observe more. Stay grounded, walk straight towards God, and keep your focus. So thank you very much, Jay
Jai
Gurudev.